The screen goes still. Candles freeze mid-motion, charts stop flowing, numbers hover like ghosts. And in that silence, something stirs inside you. Not the market, not the data. You. Your chest tightens, your mind races, and a whisper emerges from the corners of your awareness. What now? There is a subtle tension, almost imperceptible at first, the kind you can feel in your fingers, in the slight curl of your shoulders, in the hesitation between one thought and the next. It is the pause, the moment when action is impossible, when movement is temporarily suspended, and all that remains is yourself facing the empty space between impulse and restraint. You notice the flutter of impatience, the tiny gnawing at the edges of your focus. The market waits for nothing, yet here you are, suspended, aware of every flicker of doubt. You feel the urge to act, not to wait, not to observe, but to do something, anything, to break the silence. And yet, the pause persists. You cannot trade. You cannot predict. You can only watch. And in watching, you confront your own reaction. The subtle pull of fear that whispers missed opportunity, the silent echo of regret from trades gone by, the faint thrill of hope that the next candle will save you, redeem you, prove your instincts right. In that quiet, the first truth surfaces. The pause is not empty. It is a mirror. Every twitch of your hand, every hitch in your breath, every racing thought is a reflection of your inner landscape. Here, in this moment, there are no charts, no strategies, no external forces, only the raw, unfiltered pulse of your own mind. You realize that this pause is not a punishment. It is an invitation to notice, to feel, to observe the patterns that lie beneath the surface of every action you have taken and every action you are about to take. It is the threshold, the silent doorway to self-awareness, waiting for you to step through. And the market, indifferent as ever, continues to breathe around you. But inside, your awareness begins to stretch, to reach, to listen, to the rhythm of your own hesitation, to the cadence of your own heartbeat echoing. The pause lingers, and now you begin to notice the rhythm of your own mind. It is subtle, almost invisible at first, the way your thoughts loop back on themselves, the way your gaze flickers to the same chart, the same candle, over and over, seeking something that isn't there. Patterns emerge, tiny, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable once recognized. The way doubt creeps in just before a decision, the way impatience surfaces when the price doesn't move your way. The whisper of greed, almost polite in its approach, promising a reward if only you act, even when logic says no. You see the repetition. Every day, the same internal script, anticipation, hope, fear, hesitation, frustration. The same mental choreography performed with precision yet unnoticed until now. It is humbling, disquieting, and strangely illuminating. You are both spectator and participant, caught in a loop you did not fully comprehend. In this recognition, there is a peculiar clarity. You realize that the patterns are not external. They are not the market, not the candles, not the charts. They are you. Your reactions, your impulses, your fears, your desires, all moving in synchrony, whether you are aware or not. And as you trace them, a question arises. Why do I respond this way? Not just in trading, but in life, in every choice, every hesitation, every leap. The patterns are mirrors of deeper tendencies. The compulsion to act, the resistance to wait, the silent negotiation between hope and fear that plays out endlessly inside you. Recognizing them is the first step toward freedom. Not control over the market, that illusion is long gone, but control over your own response. The pause, once a void, now becomes a lens. Through it, you see the loops that drive your decisions, the triggers that ignite your reactions, the quiet nudges that have guided every trade without your full awareness. And in this seeing, a faint but undeniable power emerges. The power to interrupt the cycle, to choose differently, to step back when the urge to act is strongest. In the silence of the pause, the first names of your feelings begin to surface. Not vague sensations, not fleeting shadows, but precise, unmistakable truths. Anxiety, impatience, greed, regret. Each one carries its own weight, its own texture, its own voice, whispering secrets you have long avoided hearing. Anxiety is there, subtle yet persistent, curling around your chest, quickening your pulse, sharpening your focus while simultaneously clouding judgment. It reminds you of what is at stake, of every decision that could be right or wrong, of the tiny space between action and consequence where your mind hesitates. Impatience follows closely, an invisible pressure behind your eyes, a twitch in your fingers, the compulsion to click, to buy, to sell, to do something. It is the voice that says, "The market is moving, don't get left behind." And yet in the stillness, you see its futility. Action taken from impatience is rarely aligned with wisdom. Greed creeps in quietly, almost polite in its approach, promising satisfaction, a reward, a proof of skill if only you act. It is seductive, flattering, insidious. It masks itself as confidence, disguises itself as intuition, yet underneath it is a craving that can override clarity, patience, discipline. Regret hovers like a shadow, familiar, uninvited. Memories of trades you should have taken, trades you shouldn't, profits missed, losses endured. It is a ghost of the past, a quiet reprimand that lingers long after the charts move on. And yet, in naming it, you confront it. You see it clearly, and it begins to lose its power to unconsciously dictate your choices. And then comes subtle curiosity, a quiet companion, often unnoticed, which asks gently, "Why do I feel this? What drives this pattern?" The act of naming is more than recognition. It is liberation. Each emotion, once acknowledged, becomes visible, tangible, and manageable. They are no longer mysterious forces controlling your hands or your decisions. They are companions, messengers, signals pointing toward understanding. As you catalog them, the pause stretches on. Candles still hover in frozen time. And now a new awareness settles, the act of observing itself. Not reacting, not deciding, not fearing, simply watching. You notice the tension in your shoulders, the slight tremor in your hands, the way your chest rises and falls with uneven rhythm. Each sensation is a message, an indicator, a whisper from a part of yourself long ignored. And yet you do not label it as good or bad. You do not condemn it. You merely witness it. The mind wants to judge, it wants to label, to categorize, to assign blame or credit. But here in this stillness, you resist. You allow the wave of anxiety to pass without fighting it. You let impatience exist without acting upon it. You acknowledge greed without succumbing. You meet regret without clinging. Observation without judgment is not passive. It is active, deliberate, courageous. It is a radical honesty with oneself. The market cannot dictate this state. Only you can. You create the space where emotions can move freely, where reactions can arise and fade, where the inner landscape can reveal itself without distortion. And as you watch, patterns begin to emerge with crystalline clarity. The moments when anxiety flares, the triggers that spark impatience, the impulses that accompany greed, the subtle signals of regret. None of it is condemnation. None of it is shame. It is data, raw, unfiltered, profoundly instructive. You begin to see your thoughts as clouds passing through the sky of awareness. You notice impulses like ripples on a still pond. And slowly, imperceptibly at first, you sense a separation. The observer and the observed. You are not your anxiety. You are not your greed. You are not the compulsions that rise in response to the market. You are the witness, steady and impartial, capable of understanding without being consumed. This is the essence of freedom in trading. Not control over the market, not mastery over outcomes, but mastery over attention, awareness, and presence. By observing without judgment, the pause persists, but now your awareness sharpens. You begin to notice the catalysts, the sparks that ignite the fire of emotion within you. They are subtle at first. A sudden spike in price, a news alert, a lingering memory of a previous loss. Each one presses against the fragile framework of your calm, testing the boundaries you have just begun to establish. Triggers are deceptively small. A candle that moves faster than expected. A pattern that almost resembles opportunity. A whisper of doubt from yesterday's trade. They arrive unannounced, yet they wield enormous influence, shaping your impulses, bending your decisions, directing your focus in ways you may not even notice. And now with the lens of observation, you can see them. You can name them. The trigger that sparks fear, perhaps a rapid downward swing, the echo of a trade that went wrong. The trigger that sparks greed, the slight hint of profit, the imagined glory of being right. The trigger that sparks impatience, a market that refuses to move according to your timeline. Recognition is the first act of mastery. To identify a trigger is not to be defeated by it, but to illuminate it, to bring it from shadow into the light. And once it is in the light, its power diminishes. The moment of automatic reaction, the mindless click, the impulsive trade, the surge of regret, loses its grip. You realize that triggers are not enemies. They are signals, messages from your own psyche. They reveal your priorities, your fears, your desires, the hidden currents beneath the surface of every decision. To understand a trigger is to understand yourself. And as you trace each one, a subtle strategy forms, not a formula for the market, but a map of your own inner terrain. You see where impulses rise, where discipline falters, where old habits echo. The clarity is profound. The patterns are no longer mysterious. They are visible, tangible, predictable. The pause stretches, but now it carries weight. The silence is no longer empty. It hums with meaning. You begin to look inward, tracing the trails of thought and emotion that have surfaced in these frozen moments. Every twitch of anxiety, every flicker of greed, every pang of regret is examined, not to criticize, not to fix, but to understand. You ask yourself the questions you have avoided. Why did I hesitate? Why did I feel the pull of impatience? Why did fear rise so quickly? And why did I chase desire so blindly? The answers are not simple. They are layered, complex, woven from past experiences, habits, and subtle beliefs that guide your choices like unseen currents. In reflection, clarity emerges. You see the connections between past decisions and present reactions. You understand how one small misstep magnified in your mind, how a minor victory fed a larger, unspoken expectation. Patterns reveal themselves as a tapestry, fragments of behavior interlacing with emotion, forming the blueprint of your trading psyche. Insight is quiet but profound. It is the realization that mistakes are not failures, but data. That emotional reactions are not weaknesses, but signals. That each pause, each trigger, each fleeting impulse carries information, a message from your deeper self. And when you listen, truly listen, these messages guide you. You begin to recognize the subtle lessons the market offers, not in profit or loss, but in understanding yourself. Each hesitation teaches patience. Each spike of fear teaches awareness. Each rush of desire teaches boundaries. You see the market as a mirror, reflecting your inner state, revealing the unconscious choreography of your mind. And in this reflection, a quiet power surfaces, the power to integrate insight into action. The pause, once a void, becomes a canvas for understanding. The triggers, once invisible, become signposts. The emotions, once overwhelming, become guides. You realize that mastery is not about control over the market. It is about coherence within yourself. The pause begins to dissolve. The charts stir, candles flicker, numbers resume their relentless march. And yet, inside you, something has shifted. The stillness has carved space. Observation has sharpened clarity. Recognition has mapped your inner landscape. Reflection has offered insight. Now comes the culmination, action born from awareness. You move with a new coherence. Every decision is filtered through the lens of understanding. You feel the pull of impulse, but you no longer obey it blindly. You notice the surge of greed, the whisper of fear, the tug of impatience, and you allow them to pass, acknowledged, named, yet unmoved. You act not because the market demands it, but because you choose it deliberately, fully conscious of the forces that guide you. Action and awareness entwine. Each trade, each click, each hesitation is informed, intentional, precise. The chaos outside no longer dictates the chaos inside. You are grounded in the knowledge of your triggers, guided by the wisdom of reflection, anchored in the clarity of observation. You are present fully in the midst of uncertainty. And yet this is not perfection. It is not immunity from loss, error, or frustration. It is something far more profound, mastery over the self. The market may rise, fall, or twist unpredictably, but the decision, the response, the choice is yours. The pause has taught you that true power lies not in controlling outcomes, but in choosing with awareness, in acting with full presence, in moving with the quiet certainty of someone who knows themselves. The market resumes its rhythm, indifferent and relentless. But you carry something it cannot touch, the coherence of mind, the steadiness of heart, the precision of intention. Appreciate your time here. These moments are for observing yourself, not the market. A like or subscribe is welcome if you feel it, but don't rush. Keep this awareness with you and let it guide your mind, your emotions, and your decisions.